This is good shit. Thank you, sir.
Charles Hoskinson, creator of Cardano, is a larger-than-life figure in the cryptocurrency space.
Hi, I'm Charles Hoskinson, Chief Executive Officer of Input Output Hong Kong. We're a cryptocurrency company and a research firm.
If you like Cardano,
we're fundamentally transforming everything we touch.
If you're a fan of Charles Hoskinson,
I'm here today to talk a little bit about Cardano.
You'll like this video, share it with a friend. Today on Altcoin Daily, we're counting down Charles Hoskinson's top 8 most passionate rants and outbursts, sometimes in the name of good information and education.
Even today, the Ethereum ecosystem is lying.
Sometimes in the name of frustration.
We were scorned and spit upon as an ecosystem.
Keep watching. The clips near the end are my favorite. This first clip is good. Apparently, people on Reddit are attacking Charles Hoskinson.
Apparently, people on Reddit are saying that I lack emotional intelligence, or I'm not a leader because I don't take the blame for when Vassal ships or not.
Reddit calls Charles Hoskinson a criminal. Reddit calls Cardano a scam.
People get called criminal. People are told that they're a scammer.
Charles Hoskinson doesn't like that too much. And all because a Cardano upgrade was delayed? Charles Hoskinson goes off in this clip. Listen to who he attacks at the end.
People on Reddit are saying that I lack emotional intelligence, or I'm not a leader because I don't take the blame for when Vassal ships or not. Yet at the same time, we say it's decentralized ecosystem. And I keep shouting to people that think before you talk. This space has terrible, terrible ramifications when people misspeak or they say things that can be taken out of context. It's a very adversarial space. It's not a friendly, kind, happy space. For whatever reason, we live in a space where it's not good enough to disagree with people. People get vilified. People get called criminal. People are told that they're a scammer on a daily basis, that everything that we've accomplished means nothing. People don't get given credit. Even today, the Ethereum ecosystem is lying. They say, come September 15th, we're going to be the first people to really do proof of stake. That's news to Polkadot. That's news to Tezos. That's news to Cardano.
Charles Hoskinson co-created Ethereum, but has long since left and distanced himself from the project. I love when Charles Hoskinson gets heated about Ethereum. This is my favorite clip like that. Charles is so irked. Listen.
It's easy to do DeFi. I laugh when people say, how will you catch up with Ethereum's network effect? It doesn't exist. What, 80,000 developers compared to 22.6 million developers? Only 31% of the new dApps deployed in 2020 were on Ethereum. It costs $50 to do anything, even send a transaction, and I have to compete with that? That's like a karate match where the other person is 96 years old and is in a wheelchair. I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it at all. It's not a competition at all. Let them go do their thing. Great. I am so glad that as the first mover, they were able to accumulate a little bit of a monopoly, as Mosaic did in the browser wars, as MySpace did in the social media wars. That network effect means nothing. What really means things is, who have you helped? Where have you gone? What have you accomplished? Who is using this application? Who will be using it 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now? And how is that changing their lives?
Charles Hoskinson is tired of hearing about Ethereum's network effect. He is sick of it. But Ethereum already has the network effect on Cardano. Ethereum already has market share. Charles Hoskinson drops the mic with his response here.
Many of you may have noticed that I don't care so much about network effect, because we live in an age where network effect is not sticky in many cases. I have witnessed, as have you, platforms with hundreds of millions of users die in a matter of months to years. Every video game is very popular. If you know these AAA games, Red Dead Redemption, Cyberpunk, and so forth. And if you look at the gameplay usage, it tends to die off unless there's something to have people keep coming back and be sticky. It wasn't too long ago that World of Warcraft was like the shit. And it has definitely not succeeded as much as it used to. The same for EverQuest, the same for all of these other things. And those are among the most addictive and sticky of experiences. So networks have to have a reason to survive, and they have to go through a continual process of reinforcement, reinvention, and proper use and utility. Even things like Windows, which sought to be indomitable, they may die because they just simply no longer are the model. The same for mainframe computers and so forth. So that's one dimension of network effect. The other is that a lot of the network effect is borrowed. If you're Uniswap, you don't wake up every day saying, boy, how do I make Vitalik Buterin and Ethereum rich? You're a platform for liquidity. You're thinking about primary and secondary offerings. You're thinking about trading, and you're saying, I don't care if the trading occurs on EOS or Tezos or Cardano. What matters to me is predictable cost. What matters to me is people who are using the system are paying low fees, are having a good experience, that this is a better product than a traditional centralized exchange. And ultimately, my path to getting 1 billion customers is clear. That said, it's easy to clone these protocols. It's easy to partner with these. Just in NFTs, we've already approached several of the top 10 marketplaces and already begun discussions of porting them over to Cardano, because why not? It's an easy conversation. It's just engineering resources, and we're scaling up capacity there specifically for these types of relationships. And we'll do the exact same for other protocols above and beyond just NFT marketplaces. Eventually, we'll probably see these things with other DEXs and oracles and so forth. We think the bets we've made on our operating model long-term will be superior to other platforms. Within a few-year band, it wouldn't surprise me to see most of them migrate over to us.
Look, don't get me wrong. Charles Hoskinson is smart, sharp, respectable. He's generally just a charming individual. Watch him charm the hell out of this congressional regulator. I smile big when I watch this clip. It's nice to have Charles as an industry representative like this. He kills it with his answer, too.
Mr. Hoskinson, did I say that? I'm trying.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And I know we just have a few seconds left, but there's a lot of discussion about whether we should regulate certain cryptocurrency as commodities or securities. What do you think might the benefits, and maybe you could talk just a little bit about that. What are the drawbacks, things like that?
Well, with 37 seconds.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, the gentleman can take as much time as he requires.
Oh, thank you, Mr.
Well,
Chair.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, don't push it, but
It's a fine line here.
You got to be careful. I'm Italian. So, when you look at cryptocurrencies in general, I've always viewed them like financial stem cells. They're kind of more fundamental than a particular category, like a currency or a commodity. And really, it depends on the markets they're traded on and the use and utility that they have. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what public policy considerations are you attempting to satisfy? Is it sanctions compliance? Is it consumer protection? Is it market stability? What we do as an industry is we're all about transparency. So it's kind of funny, we're talking and debating about disclosure regimes. There's no other financial asset in the world that really is as transparent as a cryptocurrency. Every transaction from the very beginning for Bitcoin, for example, from January 3rd, 2009 is known. Every single one, the holdings of the founder are known because all of these things are publicly available to everybody. So it's more about, in my view, understandability and the tooling required to make this work on a global basis. So I don't think it would be wise to say, well, is it a security or a commodity, or fall into this temptation of who's the more permissive regulator or what is the regulatory arbitrage, but rather just take a step back and say, what things do we want to guard against? And we now have 13 years of history as an industry of, I think, 6 or 7 collapses, a whole bunch of interesting new things like NFTs that have always pushed the limit, and a global marketplace with more than 100 million people floating around that we can draw from, and we can look on a case-by-case basis and build a framework that makes sense.
Let's be honest. It's entertaining when Charles Hoskinson goes off. Especially when it's versus another big personality in this space, like the great Michael Saylor. Huge Bitcoin proponent, Bitcoin only.
I think Mike's head is all fucked up and screwed up.
Now let me set this up for you. We had Michael Saylor on our show. We asked Michael Saylor his thoughts on Cardano purely from a tech perspective. Michael Saylor said this.
I don't have any opinion on Cardano. Technology won't save you, though. Ultimately, if you're selling a security to the general public without a disclosure statement, the fact that it's technically advanced won't save you from the securities liability. So all of those things could be done on a layer 2. You can build those things on Lightning without a token, or you can build them in Cash App without a token, or you can build them into a simple exchange. I mean, Coinbase and Binance are exchanges. They can do high-speed trading. Citadel does high-speed trading. You can do all those without a token. And if you study the history of Cardano, it's pretty obvious. It's a security. It checks all the boxes. So I don't know how you actually get around intellectually to convincing yourself that it's anything other than a security.
Charles Hoskinson didn't really like Michael Saylor saying all that. Watch Charles Hoskinson go off on Michael Saylor. Bitcoin versus Cardano, Saylor versus Hoskinson.
What are your thoughts on Saylor claiming Cardano as a security? Well, Mike Saylor is the Tone Vase of this cycle of, him and Jimmy Song of this cycle of crypto. So back in the day, we had Tone, and Tone was this podcast. He's still around, and I like Tone, but he had this thing. It's like everything's a scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. Oh, it's a scam. Oh my God, it's a scam. Everybody's scamming. He even had this thing called the Scammies. It was his awards ceremony, the Scammies. So now we got Mike Saylor. He's like, Bitcoin is the way. Again, it doesn't do anything for RealFi. I can't build a decentralized power grid. I can't build a centralized telecommunications company. I can't build decentralized compute. I have no identity solution. It's not programmable, so I don't have dApps and DeFi. I can't even issue an asset, so I have no NFTs, right? It's all outside of that. But don't worry, layer 2 protocols that are highly centralized will somehow solve all of this. Great. So that's great. It's the best thing ever, and it's so magical, and who cares about the mining and all this? Everything else is scam, and everything else is security. Nobody controls it. It's completely decentralized, far more than Bitcoin. Has more use and utility. People buy the token not to speculate, which is the only thing they can do with Bitcoin. They buy the token to use it for stuff, I don't know, medical records and whatever the hell else they're doing because it is real life utility. But that's a security. But the thing that only thing you can do is speculate on is not. I think Mike's head is all fucked up and screwed up. It's just one of those cases where he's dick deep, full dick in with Bitcoin. And so, it's got to work. If it doesn't work the way he hopes, he goes bankrupt.
Hey, Charles stands up for the Cardano community. This is one of the reasons I really like him. He puts himself right there with us, face to face. Charles Hoskinson understands the pain of ADA holders, and in this clip, he is passionate and pissed.
We've gone through hell. When Shelley was a mantra that we listened to and endured for years, we were scorned and spit upon as an ecosystem. We were called just a wallet. Even today, they say just a wallet. The new one is Ghost Chain. Even though we have billions of dollars of transaction volume every day, Ghost Chain is what they say every day. And then after that, it'll be something else and something else and something else.
Picture this. Cardano's price breaks all-time highs. Suddenly, Cardano is more popular than ever before. So many people are congratulating Charles Hoskinson, congratulating the Cardano community on their success. And Charles surprised me with his response here. Love what he says at the end, though.
People in my own social circles ignored me for a long time. I cannot tell you how many text messages and Telegram messages and PMs I've gotten, Facebook messages, other things. Well, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. As if we've achieved a great thing because the markets decided to go up a little bit. And I say to myself, what about all the years, all the papers? We're nearly at 100 papers. We've written so much code. We keep growing. We keep having these huge community milestones. We're fundamentally transforming everything we touch. But there was never once a congratulations for that because people stay at the shallow surface level. And all the love we have right now that you're seeing and the euphoria you're seeing, it will completely disappear in a bear market, regardless if it's our fault or not. If Bitcoin goes to $5,000, probably the entire cryptocurrency market will collapse. Does that in some way invalidate everything we've done, all the things we've accomplished? And if Bitcoin goes to $100,000 because Apple decides to buy some of it and US regulators decide to be a little nicer and we go to the moon as a consequence, does that somehow make us geniuses? Does that somehow make everything we've done valid? No. It works in both directions. And the answer is still the same. in both directions. We are only validated if the things we build work, and they work for the people we build them for.
Charles Hoskinson price prediction. You ask because you don't know Charles. Charles always keeps it real. He has a deep, long history investing in the crypto markets, as you know. Not every investment has been a winner for Charles. Subscribe to our channel, get an edge in cryptocurrency, and you let me know what you think about this in the comments.
I did not for a moment, for example, think that Ethereum was going to be the success that it was, as evidenced by the fact that I gave away all my Ether. I was entitled to 293,000 Ether. I gave it all to my secretary. I received no compensation for my work in the founding of Ethereum. Had I held on to that at the all-time high, I think it's worth more than $500 million. I made nothing on that transaction. I have an Xbox that's worth millions of dollars because I bought it on an exchange called BitMint. It was kind of like an open bazaar for Bitcoin, and I bought it for lots of Bitcoin because Bitcoin was only worth a few bucks at the time. I will never throw away that Xbox 360.